The Covington kids sue the Washington Post for $250 million. Crooked ex-FBI official Andy McCabe walks back comments on the coup d'etat that he helped plan. New York's Bolshevik mayor Bill de Blasio attacks Ocasio-Cortez as too far left. And Kamala Harris's own father attacks her for cynically playing identity politics. We ask, has the left finally gone too far? I'm Michael Knowles, and this is The Michael Knowles Show. This is a day that we have all been waiting for. After weeks of the left going completely insane, we've wondered, is there a limit to this? Is there any point that they can reach where members of their own party will push back, where the American people will push back? I think we have reached it, and we have reached it explicitly today. All of the evidence shows a major pushback, not just from Howard Schultz, although he's part of it, but from members of the Democrat Party, from left-wingers, from Bolsheviks like Bill de Blasio. We'll go through all of it. But first, let's make a little money, honey. With Dollar Shave Club. I love that Dollar Shave Club has everything I need to look, feel, and smell my best. What I love even more is that I never have to go to the store. That's because Dollar Shave Club delivers everything that I need right to my door, and they keep me fully stocked on what I use so I don't run out. Here's how it works. They have everything you need to get ready, no matter what you're getting ready for. They have you covered head to toe, your hair, your skin, your face, you name it. They have this new program where they automatically keep you stocked up on the products that you use. For instance, look at my shiny, beautiful teeth. Look at those teeth. You see that? You need good toothpaste. And this is one of those things, I always forget to go to the store to buy toothpaste. So you're there at the very end of the tube, squeezing out, 1/100th of a cent worth of toothpaste until the very end. Or sometimes, I hate to be a little behind the curtain here on this, sometimes you just try to brush as best you can with the remnant scraps of toothpaste. Don't do that. No more. Get that beautiful Dollar Shave Club toothpaste. It gets automatically sent to you. It's just fabulous. Right now, they've got a bunch of starter sets you can try for just $5, like their oral care kit. After that, the restock box ships regular sized products at regular price. What are you waiting for? Get your starter set for just $5 right now. $5. That's like nothing. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/covfefe, C-O-V-F-E-F-E. That is dollarshaveclub.com/covfefe, C-O-V-F-E-F-E. So the first bit of evidence that the left has gone too far and we're not going to take it anymore comes in the form of those Covington high school kids. You remember the kids waiting for their bus outside in Washington. A bunch of black supremacists start screaming at them. That Native American lunatic walks up and starts banging a drum in the kid's face. Kid does nothing other than sort of smile a little bit. And the whole mainstream media, the whole left wing, Democrat presidential candidates, they all pile on the kid. They say that he ran up to them. He was provoking them. They totally smear this kid, Nick Sandmann. He is fighting back. He is now suing the Washington Post for $250 million. Happy day. It's so good. I'm not the only one celebrating. President Trump himself is celebrating. And I got to tell you, I have been waiting over 3 years for this tweet. President Trump tweeted, quote, "The Washington Post ignored basic journalistic standards because it wanted to advance its well-known and easily documented biased agenda against President Donald J. Trump. Covington students suing WaPo. Go get them, Nick. Fake news." I have been waiting over 3 years for this tweet. I have been waiting 3 years ever since Barack Obama tweeted out to that kid who it was, I guess, sort of like a bomb hoax in his school he's the son of this activist, radical activist, and the kid brought in what looked like a bomb, but it was a disassembled clock that he didn't even build. He just sort of took apart part of a clock. And Barack Obama weighs in on this, and he obviously is in favor of the radical left here, and he tweets, "Cool clock, Ahmed. Want to bring it to the White House? We should inspire more kids like you to like science. It's what makes America great." And we just sat there and we thought, you jerk, Barack Obama. You have to just needle all of America all the time. Imply that Americans are racist. Imply that they are irrationally, religiously bigoted. It just twist that little knife. And we have been waiting now for over 3 years for the answer. And we got the answer. And the answer wasn't because some guy made a clock or whatever. It was not. No, the answer was because a high school kid is suing WaPo for $250 million. Go get them, Nick. Fake news. Ha ha ha. How's it feel? How's it feel, left-wing America? How's it feel, Washington Post? Oh, it's so good. It's the perfect response. Revenge is a dish best tweeted 3 years later when you might take down that stupid fake newspaper, the Washington Post. I'm enjoying this so much that it takes a while to come back and ask the question, does the kid have a case? I don't really care if he does or not. I just love this lawsuit. But it'd be better, obviously, if he does have a case. And the evidence points to the Covington kid, Nick Sandmann, actually having a defamation case against the Washington Post. Why does he? I mean, it's very hard to prove defamation or libel or slander or calumny. It's very difficult because you have to show intent, you have to show recklessness, you have to show that they were ignoring certain things. Alan Dershowitz, one of the leading lawyers in the whole country for the past 40 years, 50 years, believes that these kids have a case. The lawsuit claims that the Washington Post, quote, ignored the truth and falsely accused Nicholas of, among other things, accosting, in quotes, Phillips by suddenly swarming him in a threatening and physically intimidating manner. Now, did the Washington Post just get the story wrong? Because then I don't know if they have a case. Does this very language constitute defamation in and of itself? Well, I don't know. How does a 16-year-old kid appear physically threatening? The kid, I mean, I don't mean to criticize the kid at all. He's not the most physically intimidating guy to begin with. Is he intimidating him because he's sort of smiling while some lunatic is banging a drum in his face? That's not threatening. But when was he threatening him? When did they suddenly swarm? There was no evidence whatsoever that they suddenly swarmed. None at all. The Washington Post invented that out of whole cloth. How do we know that? Because the short video that was first released didn't show that, and then the longer video obviously didn't show that. Instead, you had the Native American lunatic and the black supremacists swarming the kids. The Native American, or the black supremacists screaming at the kids, starting the confrontation, and then the Native American lunatic physically going up to the kids and banging a drum in their face. That's obviously more threatening than smirking. Banging a drum in some kid's face instead of just a little assault smirk, a hate smirk. Now, the Sandmann attorney goes on further, and this is like the best part of it. Quote, all members of the mainstream and social media mob of bullies who recklessly and viciously attacked Nick would be well served to read it carefully, referring to the lawsuit. Now, the language here was very precise and it was intentional. All these other members of the media, as well as these online celebrities, presidential candidates, would be well served to read it carefully, as in served with a lawsuit. So this clearly is a legal threat. What it seems to imply, I hope it's not an empty threat, what it seems to imply is that Sandmann is going to be going after other people as well who piled on him. Good. I hope so. I hope he takes these people for all they're worth. I hope he rips the Washington Post to the ground. The Washington Post is already a journalistic pile of rubble, and they should empty out that building as well. They should empty out the payroll as well. They should empty out the corporate structure as well. And that way you can have the corporate structure match the journalistic standards that they adhere to, which is absolute ruins. Same thing with the Democrat presidential candidates. Same thing with the online celebrities. It's fabulous. In New York City, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has gone too far left as well. How do we know that? It's not just the Washington Post. It's not just these online celebrities. AOC has gone too far left, even for the Bolshevik mayor, Bill DeBlasio. So Bill DeBlasio was interviewed on NBC News, and he was asked about the Amazon deal. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez almost single-handedly chased Amazon out of New York. This destroyed 40,000 jobs, the jobs with an average salary of $150,000, a ton of tax revenue from that borough, from that neighborhood, going into the city, going into the state. Even lefty lunatics like de Blasio were begging for Amazon to come there. And Ocasio-Cortez chased them out. Here is Bill de Blasio trying to walk this tightrope between not going explicitly after AOC, but also saying, look, we progressives, we Democrats are not anti-job. Please don't get the wrong impression. Please don't think that we're chasing jobs. I mean, they are. The leading spokesman for progressivism right now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is explicitly saying, we don't need your jobs. We don't need your money. We don't need your productive economy. And he's saying, no, don't believe that. Here he's trying to make the case. He opens up his NBC interview. He says, before we get to anything.
Well, Chuck, it's great to be here, but I'm a progressive and I'm proud to be. Progressives are about jobs for working people. So that's an essential progressive value.
I read your.
It isn't, though. I see why he has to make that case, because the left has been exposed. The left has exposed itself. But jobs for working people is not a progressive value. The progressive value is not about helping out the poor. The progressive value is about hurting the rich. This has always been true. We've always known this to be true. But they have exposed themselves in this Amazon deal. The Amazon deal, which would have cost the city nothing, it would have cost them $3 billion out of in tax incentives, out of an additional $27 billion in tax revenue that they were going to get, would have created tens of thousands of jobs, an enormous amount of wealth. Forget about just tax receipts to the state and local governments. Just the wealth that this would have created for New York would have been immense. And they gave all of that up on the ideology of progressivism, because by helping the working class and the middle class in New York, it would have also helped the rich. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her fellow progressives cannot abide that. They would rather hurt the rich than help the poor. It is, Winston Churchill said, socialism is the creed of ignorance, the gospel of envy, and the philosophy of failure. And that's what it is. Margaret Thatcher said, you would rather the difference in wealth between the rich and the poor be smaller, even if everybody got poorer, than for the difference in wealth between the rich and the poor to increase, even if everyone gets richer. We've been making this point for decades now. AOC is spelling it out. DeBlasio is still trying to keep a lid on it. She also exposes herself for not understanding anything about economics. I don't mean that she doesn't understand some advanced aspect of economics, some contentious part. I mean, she doesn't understand even what a tax is. She doesn't even know what taxes are. We'll show that clip in a second, and we'll show DeBlasio trying to talk about it, trying to walk it back. But first, we do understand money here. We do understand how money works. So let's make a little money, honey, with Honey. Millions of top-rated sellers are offering the exact same products on Amazon. Finding the best deal feels like looking for an invisible needle in the world's biggest haystack. Thanks to Honey, the free browser extension, I always get the best price on Amazon without lifting a finger. Honey automatically goes to work whenever I shop on Amazon. It compares the prices of every seller that carries the item that I want. Honey factors in shipping, sales tax, and Amazon Prime status to make sure I'm getting the lowest total price. It makes the best deal every time, even if Amazon doesn't. It's like having your very own personal shopping assistant. I got this just the other day. I was buying a Valentine's Day present for sweet little Elisa, and I was going on Amazon. You know, you're looking at all the different prices and everything, and different people selling the same product. You just don't know. You don't need to worry about that with Honey. You go to Honey. Honey will track the price for you. It will show you other sellers that have it. I was able to get the cheapest price on sweet little Elisa's AirPods, and they're very cool. I love it. I've been using Honey since before the Daily Wire existed. I've saved thousands of dollars on it. More than 10 million people are using Honey to save money. Has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Chrome store. It's free money. Next time you're shopping on Amazon, don't wonder whether you found the best deal. Just add Honey, get the best price automatically. Add Honey for free at joinhoney.com/covfefe. C-O-V-F-E-F-E. That is joinhoney.com/covfefe. C-O-V-F-E-F-E. Honey, the smart shopping assistant that helps save you time and money. Honey. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this is the clip that DeBlasio has to react to. Good on Chuck Todd, actually, for playing it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is talking, she's celebrating how she chased Amazon out of New York. Yeah, we got rid of 40,000 jobs. Woohoo, we did it. Progressivism for the win. And Chuck Todd has to play this clip for Bill de Blasio. He has a tough answer, but just listen to how this woman misunderstands taxes.
If we were willing to give Amazon willing to give away $3 billion for this deal, We could invest those $3 billion in our district ourselves if we wanted to. We could hire out more teachers. We can fix our subways. We can put a lot of people to work for that money if we wanted to.
No, you can't, because the money doesn't exist. I cannot believe, this makes total sense now. I mean, this is why she, I guess, just pure ignorance, coupled with her ideology, caused her to fight and get rid of 40,000 jobs in her district. The $3 billion does not exist. New York said that they would give $3 billion in tax incentives to Amazon if they put their headquarters there. A tax incentive is a rebate on the taxes that you pay. So in order to get the $3 billion in tax incentives, you have to pay at least $3 billion in the first place. If that revenue isn't there, revenue to the government, you don't get the tax incentive. Dude, she thinks there's just like $3 billion sitting around on 15th Street, just waiting to be picked up and doled out to everybody. No, no, no. Amazon provides the money from which that includes and encompasses the $3 billion. So if there's no Amazon, there's no $3 billion. This girl has a degree in economics from Boston University. Boston University should shut down. We should decertify Boston University. If you can get a degree in economics from Boston University and not understand what a tax is, that university should not exist. People should, certainly no one should send their children there if they want to study economics. Because even if you could learn economics there, look at how low the standards have fallen. So she doesn't understand what a basic tax is. By the way, the entire role of Congress is to control the purse strings. She's a congresswoman. Doesn't understand the very basics of taxes. Here, Bill DeBlasio tries to explain, without going after her too hard, what a tax incentive is.
A lot of people think that when you give a tax incentive, that somehow that's money you had over here and it was going over there. This is money that didn't exist, this $3 billion.
Correct.
Okay? Do you feel as if this is a problem in trying to explain how this deal worked?
Yeah, look, this was a deal that was going to bring $27 billion in revenue to the state and city for things like public education, mass transit, affordable housing. And that $3 billion would go back in tax incentives was only after we were getting the jobs and getting the revenue.
There's not $3 billion in money that exists anywhere, correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
So here's the bottom line. I think people were looking for fairness here. They were looking for a positive outcome.
Okay, so he says, well, no, yeah, it's not, no, she done not quite, but he won't go after her specifically. Why not? Because she's influential nationally. And he keeps saying, look, I'm defining progressivism. No, progressivism is pro-jobs, it's pro-worker. No, you're not. And the way that we know that you are not the spokesman for progressivism is that you won't criticize AOC, who just lost your city $27 billion in tax revenue, 40,000 jobs, average jobs of $150,000. You won't go after her because she is popular nationally. She is a far more widely known spokesman for progressivism than Bill DeBlasio is. And this is what happens, by the way, when you follow AOC and you are factually incorrect but morally right. There's no such thing as that. She said the other day, some people, they're so obsessed with being factually correct that they're not morally right. In order to be morally right, you have to be factually correct. What AOC just did is immoral. She deprived that district of 40,000 jobs, a ton of money, a ton of wealth. And she did it because she was factually incorrect. She didn't know what a tax was. She thought that the city was going to spend $3 billion to bring Amazon there. $3 billion that they could have invested in the people. No, no, no. That money doesn't exist. They were just going to take $3 billion less out of $27 billion that was going to go to the city anyway. So we know that this is not the first time that AOC has demonstrated her economic illiteracy, her factual incorrectness. Ben Stein, here he is, making that point just the other day.
If we're going to have Medicare for all, that means we're going to have bankruptcy for all. Look, Ms. Cortez has a plan to do a gigantic amount of rebuilding of this country. It's going to bankrupt this country. It's going to make this country literally bankrupt. If the Green New Deal were ever signed into law, on that day, the American people would be bankrupt forever. So it's a very, very serious step, and we've got to step back from it way, way, way far back.
bankrupt forever. And he's not exaggerating. He's not joking. $40 trillion instantly, you kill the entire economy, you take over whole industries. That would bankrupt us forever. That would be Venezuela. People think Venezuela could never happen here. The way Venezuela happens here is the Green New Deal, quote unquote. The Democrats weren't always like this. Democrats have passed big radical spending packages in the past. It hasn't totally destroyed our country. What's different now is the degree. It's not different in kind. They were always pretty radical. They were always spending a lot of money. They were always economically largely illiterate. But what's happened now is they have gone so far to the left that you're talking about not just hampering the economy for 4 or 8 years, you're talking about bankrupting us forever when you talk about the Green New Deal. When you have gone further left than Bill DeBlasio, you are through the looking glass. And it's not just in New York. It's not just on economic matters. Nationally speaking, Andy McCabe, the guy who tried to launch a coup d'etat on President Donald Trump, has now gone too far, even for some Democrats. He's gone too far. He's pushed the left too far. And so now he's got to walk back. You remember, we did a whole show on disgraced FBI agent Andy McCabe's attempted coup d'etat. We went through point by point what he said. Now he's walking that back because he admitted to treason, all to sell a book. He admitted to being a traitor to his country. Listen to how the exposed liar, the demonstrable liar, Andy McCabe, contradicts his previous statements that he made just a few days ago. He's contradicting them now yesterday on MSNBC.
Discussing the 25th Amendment, which removes a duly elected president from office?
The conversation was not about removing the president.
Well, that's what the 25th Amendment is.
Yeah, so Rod brought up the 25th Amendment, mentioned it in the course of a wide-ranging and frenetic conversation. It is not something that I'm aware of he took any action to pursue. I don't know about any other meetings that included discussions of it. It was simply one thing, one topic in the midst of a whole host of issues that we were thinking about and kind of working through our heads.
Did he present that idea to other cabinet officials? Because, as you know, he had to count heads to see, do I have the votes to remove the president?
Not that I'm aware of. No indication.
Or possibly.
NBC, he said, no, we weren't talking about removing the president. We were just talking about the 25th Amendment. And then good on the MSNBC panel, they said, the entire point of the 25th Amendment is to remove the president. I said, yeah, but but that was part of a wide-ranging discussion. Right, I don't care if you were talking about your favorite apple pie recipe. You were talking about it. You were talking about it. You just said you were talking about it. Then you said you weren't talking about it. Now you're admitting you were talking about it. But this guy is a liar. I mean, his words are worth nothing, which is why we've got to investigate what he's really doing. And you got to remember, when this guy was found to have lied to investigators, the Inspector General turned his case over to the U.S. Attorney for possible prosecution. And also good on CNN. CNN legal analyst Eli Honig, who's probably not going to be a CNN legal analyst for long, he came out strongly against Andy McCabe, and now we've got to look at potential prosecution.
Whenever we hear something from McCabe, we need to keep in mind he has a serious credibility problem. The Department of Justice Inspector General found that he lacked candor, which is the polite bureaucratic way of saying lied, 3 times in 3 separate interviews about whether he was a leak or authorized the leak on the Hillary Clinton case. And he's made a defense during this book tour. Well, I was confused and I didn't understand the questions. I find that completely unconvincing. He lied. He didn't just have one bad day. 3 separate times lied to the FBI.
He also said he was authorized by the FBI to be the person who was the liaison with the press. You don't buy that?
The DOJ, the OIG certainly did not buy it. And look, Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Michael Cohen, George Papadopoulos were all prosecutors for making false statements to federal investigators. I don't see why McCabe's case is really any different than those.
Boom, absolutely right. This is the issue. You've got Michael Flynn thrown under the bus, looking at prison for what? For maybe making a misleading statement to an investigator? You've got all of these. Paul Manafort is basically going to jail for enjoying nice suits in the 1990s. And you've got all of these guys, all facing charges for lying to investigators. Andy McCabe lied to investigators. The Inspector General points that out. So all things being equal, all these guys lied to investigators. Now, what's the difference? One of them is lying about inconsequential things. Another one is basically just likes nice Italian suits. Some of these guys, they're lying about things, maybe, or misleading, or maybe misremembering things in an investigation that really shouldn't have been happening in the first place, launched, by the way, by Andy McCabe. And then in the other case, you've got Andy McCabe, who is attempting to launch a coup d'etat and overturn a U.S. presidential election. Those are not equal. Their crimes ostensibly are equal. But I guess there's another way in which they're unequal. All of the people working for Republicans have to go to jail to pay for that crime. And Andy McCabe gets to smile on television news, on MSNBC. What did I do wrong? I did nothing wrong. Buy my book. Give me your money. Such a miscarriage of justice. This is a guy who is not only a demonstrable liar, he's lying right in front of us. He's telling us don't believe our lying eyes and our lying ears. I really hope that guy gets prosecuted. I really hope that they follow up on that, because it is a sign of hope that Andy McCabe, this guy working for a crony, leftist, bureaucratic coup d'etat, has gone too far left, even for MSNBC and even for CNN. This is a sign of some sanity in the country. And speaking of presidential coup d'etats, speaking of the presidency, in the Democrat presidential primary, you now have Kamala Harris, who's probably the leader of the pack. She's probably the strongest candidate right now, going too far left even for her own father, who has come out and attacked her for this. We'll get to that in a second. Then we got to get to good old Crazy Bernie. We got to get to the wall. And if we have time, we have to get to a new song that is out about celebrating abortion. The left showing their radicalism, killing babies after birth, a new song out about having a shower, a baby shower for the baby that you're killing. We'll get to all that, but first, we've got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Listen, I'm going to be flying out to Indiana in about 2 hours, and then I'm going to be giving a speech tomorrow night at Notre Dame. Notre Dame right now has beautiful murals of Christopher Columbus on its walls, and the president of that university has decided to cover up those murals. He would have taken them down, except they're right on the wall, so they would have had to go full Taliban and just knock the wall down if they wanted to get rid of them, destroy them completely. So now they're covering them up. I will be going to Notre Dame tomorrow to discuss how awful this is, what this means for liberal education, the total cowardice and moral idiocy of the Notre Dame administration, and then I will be presenting a robust defense of Christopher Columbus, hero, not heathen, one of the greatest men in all of history. So we're going to be streaming that here. If you're not in Indiana, you don't want to brave the cold. If you are in Indiana, I hope you can come and check it out. It should be a lot of fun. We've got a number of Antifa have already RSVP'd. I don't know how open-minded they're going to be about hearing my talk, but they apparently will be there nonetheless. And you can check it out on Daily Wire. Also, subscribe. $10 a month, $100 for an annual membership. You get me, you get the Andrew Klavan Show, you get the Ben Shapiro Show, you get to ask questions in the mailbag, you get to ask questions backstage, you get to ask, by the way, get your mailbag questions in for tomorrow. You get another kingdom. You get everything. And you get this. The Leftist Tears Tumbler. It's going to be a little frozen tomorrow in Notre Dame, but it is going to fill up while we defend the man who discovered America, one of the greatest men in human history, Christopher Columbus. Check it out at dailywire.com. We'll be right back with a lot more.